and visualization subject. In that we were discussing module 5. In last video we are discussing module 5. We have started with input and interaction. Among these three topics, input and interaction, curves and computer animation, among these three topics we have started with input and interaction, right? Then let us go back, and one concept I told that I will explain in next class. This is regarding this. Here, create a new one display list. In that, what we have done, GL new list and GL end list. In between these you have to create a display list, then you store it in somewhere server or somewhere. Then whenever you want, you can execute this display list just by sending GL call list with index number. GL call list with index number is nothing but a name of that list, right? Again, when you are creating, you can observe here GL new list index, that is unique number. As I told, index must be unique number. Then mode GL compile or GL compile and execute. You can create these display list in two different modes. One is GL compile or GL compile and execute, right? Anyone, either of one you can use, or you can use GL compile or you can use GL compile and execute. What is the difference between GL compile and GL compile and execute? Whenever you are storing these lists in some place, that may be, you may be storing it in a server side, right? Whenever you want, from that server side you need to execute this one. At that time you store it for future execution, that is GL compile. You store it for future execution, means as and when you are storing, those will not be executed, only those are stored after, means compiled and stored. Compiled and stored, they are not exe files, only compiled and stored, those will be compiled, that is GL compile. But in some of the case, what happens, GL compile and execute, whenever you are storing, at the same time you execute for and store for future use. That is what means compile then execute. When you are storing, that time only, when you are storing, that immediately execute, then store it for future use. Store it for future means during the storing time only you are executing, as at the same time you are storing, right? You are creating your display list, that is it, GL compile and execute. In GL compile mode only you are storing it for future use, means now you are, after compilation you will keep it in some place in a server, then afterwards you will execute. But in this second case, you compile and execute when you are storing, right? Then after that again you are storing there, right? This is what regarding these two modes of creating a display list. Then next today we will discuss programming event driven input, means how to interface these hardware store applications, right? How to interface hardware store application, then how to make use those hardwares in our application, so that I can perform some operation by using those hardware devices, right? As I told, these hardware devices are classified into 6 logical devices, right? Pick, store, right? Then pick, store, then there are some 6 modes. Those are, I'll recall those. First is string, right? Then locator, pick, choice, dial and stroke, right? These are the 6 logical devices we have interface. We can use the devices in those logical types, right? Then if you interface any device, as I told, again you can interface mouse and keyboard for almost for all category logic devices can be used as a mouse and the keyboard, right? Then once you use mouse or once you use keyboard in your program, then what input they will give to your program, then how to make use those input in my program, so that I can do some operation by using those devices, right? That part we are going to discuss here. Using the pointing device, first one is using the pointing device, means if you use any device as a pointing device, any input device as a pointing device, then how it behaves, how to make use that device in my program, right? 2 types of events are associated with the pointing device, as I told. 2 type of, means locator, pointing device is nothing but a locator, right? Locator. Then 2 types of events are associated with the pointing device. One is move event, one more is passive movement, right? There are 2 type of events, movement and passive movement. Then what will happen, movement, and in what will happen in passive movement. is generated, move event is generated when the mouse is moved with one of the button depressed. One of the button depressed is generated when the mouse is moved with one of the button depressed. For a mouse, the move event happens when one of the button is depressed or released, right? Means when your move event is happening, when you press, it will not move. And when you release, when you are releasing, at that time, if you see, you can see here, I have pressed now, I have pressed my mouse, but there is no event. But if I release, then automatically this slide will change. Automatically this slide will change. You see, after releasing, this slide is going to change. That is movement. Means movement is, whenever your cursor is moving, at that time your program may be needing the x and y. Your program may be needing the x and y of this, but the movement only will happen when you release the mouse button, right? Actually, one more time I will say. Now you see, right? Now I will press. You see the cursor here. Cursor is there. Now I will press. Is there any change? No, right? There is no change. But if I release this button, then it will do the action, right? That is what here, like this. That is what movement. Then passive movement is generated when the mouse is moved without button being held down, right? Mouse is moved like this, means you are not holding any button, just you are moving the mouse. Just you are moving the mouse. That is called passive move event. Your program is reading, your application, your operating system is reading the positions of the x and y, but there is no event. You are not doing any activity, right? This is what passive move. I have not pressed any button, but then also I am moving my cursor. This is what passive move event. Then next, the mouse callback functions looks like this. Then how, when you want to use this mouse in your program, if you want to use this mouse as a locator device again, or pointing device, actually mouse is a pointing device. If you want to use that mouse as a locator device in your program, then how to use, especially in OpenGL. If you want to use any mouse in your program, then that has to be registered, because that is controlled by your OS. Then that has to be registered. That is a callback function. All callback functions are first you have to register in event queue, right? As I told, how we are using, there are two types. There are two types of usage, right? In that we are using second type, right? That is what event mode. We are using in event mode. The third mode, that is third type. That is the event mode. We are using in a event mode, right? When you are in event mode, first you register your all the hardware, whatever hardware you want to use it in your program, whatever input output devices you want to use it in your program. For every program there are callback functions in OpenGL. By using those callback function, make a registration first, then use those devices in your program how you want, right? That is what callback function. For registering your mouse device in OpenGL, callback function available is glut mouse function. Glut mouse function, it registers, it makes a registration of your mouse in the event queue. Then afterwards, whenever you are using that mouse, then your OS is continuously monitoring that event queue. If any event as generated by the mouse, then that event will be executed. That for that event I have to write a code. For that event I have to write a code. But first you have to make a registration. Those are called callback functions, right? That is a glut mouse function, is a built-in function available in OpenGL. By using this glut display function, we are already in some of the program we are using, most of the program we use glut display function to register display to event queue, in event queue, right? That is a callback function. Glut display function also callback function in most of the programs. In almost all programs we are using that display function. Similarly, because I want to control my monitor, we want to control my monitor, that is the hardware again, that is the output device, we are controlling that. That's why we are registered that one. Similarly, I want to use mouse. If you want to use mouse in your program, then the callback function available in OpenGL is glut mouse function. Glut mouse function, then mouse callback function. In here you write mouse callback function. You write how to control that program there, then write the name of that program here. How we are written for glut display function. You just go through that glut display function, then you will come to know how we have utilized that one. Glut display function I have written, then in bracket we are normally we have given the input as a function name, then in that function we have written all the display functions in that function, right? Like that. Here also mouse callback function is a user defined function. In this function you write how you want to control that mouse as per your requirement, right? That is what. Then here, as you see below statement, void mouse callback function, I am writing my code to control the mouse, my code to control the mouse, right? Because in the mouse you have 3 buttons, which button you want to use for which operation, that you decide and write a code for that, right? Maybe one example is there, you can see how to write, right? Void mouse underscore callback function, this is a user defined function, you can write whatever name you want, that is a user defined function. Then the you see the parameters of this, you see what mouse returns. If I write this function, then what, as I told, measure what the measures it will return, means what input it will give to my program, so that that input I can use it in my program, so that input I use it in my program, right? Mouse callback function is a user defined function, but what it returns to this function, it returns integer button, then comma it returns integer state, then comma it returns integer x, integer y value. Always when you press any mouse, then you decide which button it is going to return. First, again the order is same, you don't change this order, this is a predefined, the parameter order is same. First always is the integer button, next order is the integer state, next order is the integer x, next order is the integer y. You don't change, again don't exchange the positions of these parameters, right? You don't write first integer state, then don't write afterwards integer button. First is integer button, next is integer state, next is integer x, next is integer y. In this order only you can write whatever mouse callback function, whatever name you want you can give, whatever name you want for your function you can give name, but the parameter order you cannot change, right? Then button, integer button means which button you want to use among your 3 mouse button. For example, if you want to interface a 3 mouse button, then which button, that is what integer button means. There are 3 buttons, left, middle, right button, left, middle, right button, that is what the meaning of integer button. Then next is integer state, for example you want to use left button, assume that you want to use left button, right? Then integer button will become left, right? Then left button, next is state, in which state, whether you want to use that button during a press time or during release time. Again you can use in both the way, right? Again you can use in both, but most of the OS will use those buttons during release time. That's why I have told during release time. Yeah, now I have pressed this button, mouse, I have pressed this, already I have pressed and held that button. This is already pressed button, mouse is pressed button, but you are observing there is no action. Once I release, automatically slide will change, you see. Once I release this button, automatically slide will change, you see, right? This means most of the time the state means you can use either way. If you want, you can use that button during press time or during release time. That is what a state. Means when you want to use the left button, but when, during press time or during release time, both you can use. That is what a state, right? Assume that you want to use the left, right? That's why integer button become left. Then integer state you want to use during release time. That is up, that is down is a press, up is release, right? Like that you can use state. Then integer x and y, always it returns x and y values to your program. Means at that time when you are executing this, definitely the mouse may be somewhere here, then you have pressed that button, then what is the x and y at that point, that will be returned. Means these are the return types of this callback function. That is what, first is button, which button, in which state you want to use, during press or during release. Then always by default at that point of time when you are pressing the mouse, where that cursor is there, that x and y coordinates will be returned to your program. Then use these in your program, then you write a code what you want to do with this, right? That within the callback function we define what action we want to take place if this specified event occurs, right? If you are using left button during release time, assume that you want to use X button during release time, then what you want to do, what you want to achieve. In this case only, I am using a mouse during release time. Again left button, assume that I am using left button during release time, but what action I am doing here? Change the slide. Go to next slide. This is the action I want. Go to next slide, right? Like that you decide. You decide whichever button you want to use, whichever state you want to use, but after that what you want to achieve from this, right? As I told, I am using left button again during release time. I am using left button during release time, but what action I am doing? Change the slide. That code means that you decide and write a code for this. right? Next example is there, we will see, right? Then there may be multiple actions defined in the mouse callback function corresponding to the many possible buttons and the state combinations. Again, you can combine this left button, press release, middle button, press release, right button, press release. The combinations you can use, you can write whatever you want, right? That is what state combinations. Here, for example, using the pointing device, one example we have written here. Suppose we want the program to terminate when the left button is depressed, right? My intention is I want to use left button. I want to terminate my program when I press left, when I am using left button. Again, that is during release time. Don't terminate my program during press time of left button. Don't terminate my program during press time of left button of my mouse. You terminate my program if I release the left button of my mouse. If I release the left button, that is a depress, right? If I release left button of this is my problem. I want to use, for this reason I want to use mouse in my program, right? That's why I written a code here, right? Void mouse callback function, integer button is a variable of type integer state, state is a variable of type integer, x is a variable of type int, y is a variable of type int, right? There are 4 parameters always mouse will return. Always the measure of the mouse is integer button, integer state, integer x, integer y. Now I'll write code. Then what I want to do here, which button I am using? I am using left button. I have told that I want to use the left button. That's why what I have written, if button equal to glut left button, there is a constant available in OpenGL. Means left button, how to write a left button? Glut underscore left underscore button. Because I have told in my program definition, during left button release, during left button means when I release the left button, I want to terminate my program. When I press the left button, I want to terminate my program. That's why button, then which button I am using, which button I want to use left. That's why button equal to glut left button. If button equal to glut left, because you may press right, you may press middle, you may press right, or you may press middle also. But if you press, unfortunately, if you press middle and right button, there should not be any action, because your problem, you are told that only left button you want to use. Only want to use left button. But since in your mouse 3 buttons are there, among 3 buttons you are interested only in left button. If you press right, if you press middle, then it should not do any operation. It should not be any operation. That's why your intention is left. That's why button equal to glut left button. If button equal to glut left button, and one more is and state equal to glut down, and state equal to glut down during press. Here depressed, I use depressed. Here I am using exactly reverse. If you want, you can glut up. There is a glut up, right? As per this definition, glut up, I have to use glut up actually, because depress means releasing time, not press time. That's why I have to use, but other way I used here. Glut down means during press time I am doing this one. You can do it during release time, that is glut up. There is a constant called glut up, right? Means when this in this code, when it is doing that operation during press time, it is doing during press time. In a problem definition I used depress, but while writing code we have written code for during press time, right? You can do as per your problem definition. Only change this one glut down to glut up, only change this to glut down to glut up, right? And state equal to glut down means left button should be equal to left button, then state should be equal to glut down. Then only you do this operation. What operation? Exit of 1 means exit from the program, because you want to terminate your program. Exit from the program. This is what the code, right? Like this, any combination, anything, whatever you want. I only one statement I have written, exit, because I want to. After doing this operation, I am exiting this, right? That's why this is small code. Then already you are registered there. With the callback function, you are registered this function. Then whenever you press this one, again there is a request goes to event queue. Then that your OS is monitoring that event queue. As when your turn comes, then it sees that yes, there is a request from the mouse. Then what is the request? Press left, then exit, right? Automatically it exits, right? This is what this. Then next, one problem normally you will face when you are using the mouse as a locator device. Normally when you will use the locator device as a mouse in our computer graphics, because the problem is because of this. What is that? The position in the screen window, normally operating system, the position in the screen window is usually measured in pixels with an origin at the top left corner. You see in this image you can see that normally operating system assume that the Windows corner is origin is at top left corner. Consequence of refresh done from top to bottom, right? That is means always refreshing is done from top to bottom, means always starts at 0 0, top left corner, goes right, comes left, goes right, comes left, goes right, since down again every time it is coming down, right? That is during refresh I have told, right? Whenever you are executing CRT, at that time we have discussed this one, right? But what happens with OpenGL? Sorry, OpenGL uses a word coordinate system with origin at the bottom left. OpenGL uses a word coordinate system with origin at the bottom left. Understood the problem? Operating system is using origin as top left. Your OpenGL uses origin at bottom left, right? Means whenever you are pressing mouse button, your operating system returns that values. Whenever you press any mouse, then your operating system releases wherever that mouse during that point. If your mouse is here, then with respect to this origin, top left corner origin, where that mouse comes, that value will be returned. Right? But when OpenGL comes with respect to this corner, it counts. Means you want here, right? Actually, with here, if you press this button, if you press button here, then with respect to your operating system, this is origin. That's why it gives this value. But in a program where you are saying you want that value somewhere here, because with OpenGL takes origin as here, right? That's why you want that value must be here, right? This problem will face here. That's why must invert y coordinate returned by callback by height of the window. You have to invert the y value whatever operating system has given, right? As I will give for example, here this is only problem with y. There is no change in x. As I told, x is always increases right side. X is always increasing right side, whether it is a top left or bottom left. Always x increases right side. But in both the case, y is different. In operating system, y increases downside. In OpenGL, y will increase upside. Means for OpenGL, y is 0 here. For operating system, y is 0 here. That is a problem. That's why you have to do the adjustment here. Right? What happens? For example, you have pressed here mouse. You have pressed that mouse here, right? Assume that your Windows has given, because it is 0 here for Windows, the top row is 0. Then assume that you got 20 here. Y is 20 here, right? Y is 20. Then for example, x is 10. Means you got 10, 20. Assume that you got 10, 20. Your operating system has returned x and y value 10, 20. But in OpenGL, where you are expecting 10, 20, because this in OpenGL origin is here. Then where you want that 10, 20, that 10, 20 must be somewhere here. If you don't do this adjustment, then that 10, 20 will be displayed here, because with respect to operating system 10, 20 is there. But with respect to your OpenGL 10, 20 you want here. As I told, there is no change in 10. 10 remains same whether you take from top left or bottom left, right? 10. But there is a change in y. Y is 20 for operating system at this point. This point. But y is 20 for with OpenGL somewhere here, right? Then how to do this one? You know the height of your window. Height minus y. Then y, what you will get? Height minus y. Automatically you will get 20, right? That 20 is nothing but, then you take this 20. Then display. Then you take this 20. Then you take the result of this y. Then you display. Automatically it comes somewhere here. Right? Because otherwise that will come somewhere here, right? That is what inversion you have to do. Only problem with this y, there is no change in x, right? This is the positioning. Then keyboard events, there is nothing but if you interface mouse in your program, then how to interface that is in our program, then what it returns, which callback function I have to use, that regarding that. Then next is a keyboard. Like that you can interface keyboard also. We can use the keyboard event as an input device. Keyboard events are generated when the mouse in the window and one of the key is pressed, mouse must be in the window, mouse must be in this your window, whatever window you have created, mouse position must be in that window, then some key you have to press, some key you have to press, right? Then only it will work, then only it will work, otherwise it will not work, right? In OpenGL it will work only that mouse must be within the window, then means window must be active, nothing but window must be active, right? Then you can press any key. This is what how normally keyboard works. Then in glut there are callback for the release of the key, release of a key, right? You can use keyboard during press time or during up time, right? During up time, as I told in a mouse also can be used during a press time or depress time, means during pressing time or during releasing time, like that also. For keys also you can use, you see by default always keyboard, if you are using a keyboard by default always it is using during press time, during press time, it is not using during release time. By default all keyboard related callback functions are during press, right? But there is callback functions are available during release time also, right? That's why I have given two callback functions in below example, right? Glut keyboard function, that is by default press, by default that is a press, then you write a keyboard function, in that keyboard function whatever you want to do, write a code for that, right? Then one more is glut keyboard up function, right? As I told, you can use this key during release time also, you can use this key during release time also, that's what up function, right? Then write whatever you want to do by using that key, then write code in keyboard function, right? To use the keyboard to exit a program, again I want to write same program, I want to exit from the program. If I press Q, if I press Q, I would like to exit, I would like to exit, right? If I press Q, if I press capital Q or small q, if I press capital Q or small q from my keyboard, I want to terminate my program, I would like to terminate my program. This is the program definition, for that I have written a code here. Like that, any button, any operation, whatever you want to do by using those program you write. I say written, we have written since a very simple code, that is only exit up one is there, but you can write so one program in that. After pressing this, then you do this, after pressing this you do this, because there are n number of keys are there, all keys can be used and all keys can be, you can monitor, like how we have written in first year a C program, that is calculator program, right? Calculator program. Similarly here also, if you use the code here, use those buttons, right? Then as I told, wide keyboard, right? Then what it returns, again how the mouse button was returning, what the parameters mouse button was returning, always integer button, first parameter is integer button, next parameter is integer state, then next parameters are integer x and integer y, like that. Then what all parameters this keyboard function will return, always keyboard function will return first parameter as unsigned character key, unsigned character. First parameter always written by the keyboard is unsigned character, unsigned character. The next two parameters written by the keyboard are integer x, integer y. Only returns 3 parameters, but mouse was returning 4 parameters. The keyboard is returning 3 parameters. First parameter is unsigned character key, unsigned character, that is a key. Then next two parameters are integer x, integer y, x and y coordinates, again same order. Sorry, when you want to use this, again use in this order only, right? Then unsigned character key means here which key, that first parameter is nothing but which key among these number of keys, which key you want to use, that is nothing but that. Then integer x and integer y, as I told, that mouse must be in window, that x and y will be written by default, right? Here I have written code here. If key equal to q, as I told, if I press q, small q or capital Q, I want to terminate my program, that's why I am using my keyboard. With that intention I am using keyboard in my program. That's why if key equal to q, small q, or key equal to capital Q, if key equal to small q or key equal to capital Q, then exit, then terminate the program. Other than this, if you press, somebody has pressed any other keys, then it will not work, because you are using a keyboard only for key q. Which key you are using? Only q key. Like that you can use any keys, any operation, whatever you want you can do. Like this you can interface keyboard. Then window management, right? Already we have done many programs. During class lab also I explained this one. Window management. Glut supports both multiple windows and sub windows of a given window. Glut supports both multiple windows and sub windows of a given window, right? Here, what is that? Then how to do this one? Already we have done. Glut create window. In most of the all the programs we use this function. Glut create window. Second window means you give a name for that one. Glut create window, you give a name. Then before this we are given a position, then a size, whatever you want, size, position you can give. Then automatically it will create with that position, with that at that origin, with this name, glut create window. But by default what it does, when it is creating glut create window, it returns ID. That window ID will be returned by default, right? Since we have not done anything on that window, that's why we have not used that like this statement, right? But we want to use that one for some other reasons. That's why glut create window always returns which window it has created, what is the ID of that window. It will return, means it will monitor all the windows on its IDs. How many windows are there? What is the ID of first window? What is the ID of second window? You programmer will remember that window with window name, second window, third window, like whatever name you have given. Whatever name you have given, programmer may remember those windows by mentioning the names. When you are creating a window, he will normally give window 1, window 2, right? Like that we have given the name. I will remember like that, but programs will remember with IDs. Every window, whenever you create any window, it has its own ID. It has its own ID. Then that will be, by default it will be created, right? That is ID. That is an integer. The returned integer value allows us to select the window as the current window, right? Then use that ID. Then you select what you want to do in that. If you want to use that window in your program for other reasons, right? Then glut set window ID. Glut set window ID, that is used for future use, right? We will see that. Then next, that again that will come here. That window managing windows will come in this menus actually, right? Menus. We can use our graphics primitives and our mouse callbacks to construct various graphical input devices. We can use our graphics primitives and our mouse callbacks to construct various graphical input devices. As you have seen, graphical input devices, GIs, graphical input devices means if you see any word and all those things, there are graphical input devices. Means by pressing that one you are giving an input, nothing but by using a mouse, if you are pressing nothing but you are giving an input. By using like that you have created your GI. That's for that glut provides pop-up menus. Those are called glut provides pop-up menus. To create such menus, glut will provide facility, that is what pop-up menus. Using menus involves must define the entries in the menu. How to use this menu? You must define the entries in the menu, must link the menu to particular mouse button, must link the menu to the particular mouse button, and must define callback function corresponding to each menu entry. Means if you want to create any menus in the OpenGL, define the entries in the menu. Define the entries in the menu means, for example, file. If you see the file button, save as, print, all those things, menus entries in the menu, right? Entries in the menu. Then must link the menu to a particular mouse button. Then those menu which after pressing which mouse button, that has to activate, right button, middle button, left button, which menu, that every option in that menu you have to link for some key, right? Then must define a callback function corresponding to each menu. Then you must define after save as. If you press save as, then what you want to do. If somebody presses save, then what you want to do. If somebody presses print, what he has to do, right? That you have to write a code for that. Those are callback functions, right? Then example is here. Example one pop-up menu I have created. That's what, as I told, glut create menu, right? Glut create menu, right? Here glut create window, how we have done, that is the second window. Like that we have here also we are doing that one. Here we are creating menu here. See, in the same way we are creating a menu. Sorry. Glut create menu, then give name, whatever name you want, you can give the name. That is demo underscore menu. That is demo underscore menu. I have given demo underscore menu as a that create menu. Glut create menu. Use the callback, that is a function glut create menu, that is a demo menu. Then glut add menu entry. Next is glut add menu entry. Glut add menu entry. Means in that demo menu, what all options you want, you want. That is first one is quit. I want in that sub menu is a quit. Demo menu, in that demo menu, sub menu is a quit, right? Then choice I have given 1, right? Means you link with the numbers. Choice I have given 1, means that is ID, nothing but I am giving the ID. Then glut add menu entry, again glut add menu entry, one more choice I am giving, increase the square size. Means increase means I have drawn one square box, then increase the square size, one more option I am giving, increase the square size. Option I have given ID is 2, I have given ID is 2. Then because as I told, whenever you create a menus, then those will be identified with its ID, right? ID. Then glut add menu entry, glut add menu decreases size. Means 3 options. I created one demo menu. We are going to create one demo menu. In that demo menu, sub options are quit, increase the square size, decrease the square size. Quit ID is 1, increase square size ID is 2, decrease square size ID is 3, right? These whatever in string, whatever in double quote we have given, those names are for us, those are for user. Then whatever I have given after comma 1 2 3, that is for my program. Means I have to use those menus in my program, those are for our programs, right? Then which button you want to attach, after pressing which button, this quit, increase, decrease has to happen. After pressing which button of your mouse you want to do this action, you attach that button, that is glut attach menu, that is glut write button. Means all these 3 options has to happen if I press right button of my mouse, means if I keep on quit, once I go to quit like this in that menu, right? For example, I will show here file is menu, in that menu here if I come to save, if I press right button, then it will go to there. If I press save, again right button, means all these sub options we use the right button, right? Like that you decide. If you want, you can use middle button, if you want, you can use left button, one right button, one left button, any combination. But you have to attach buttons for this is what we are doing there, right? I have created main menu, that is a demo menu. In that demo menu we are creating sub menu with respect to that is sub menu is main menu is demo menu. Instead of file we have created demo menu. One more sub menu I have created is quit, right? Then I increase the size of square, then decrease the size of the square. Only 3 options we have created. Here there are many options, like this we are doing, right? Then here you see again, if I press this one like this, then I have attached right button. I have attached right means after pressing right button, after keeping on that option, once I keep in that option, if I press that button, then this respective action has to happen, right? Then I have to write code. Now I have to attach, I have to write a callback functions for this, right? The callback function looks like this, then callback function look like this. One simple callback function I have written here, that is void demo menu integer id, void demo menu integer id, right? Integer id, that integer id, that demo menu, when you are creating this one, it will return the id, right? It will return the id. Then you take the id of this, whatever id it has returned. By default glut create menu, once you create, then it will return the id of the glut create menu. Then I have to use the id. I am not supposed to use demo menu here. I am not supposed to use demo underscore menu here. I have to use the id of demo underscore menu. This demo underscore menu is for me, but the id is for my program. That's why once I do this one, it, as I told, it will return the id of this. It will return the id of this, whatever it may be, That's why I use that id, integer id. In this we have created submenus. First submenu id is 1, next submenu id is 2, then third submenu id is 3. Like this we have created this id. But whenever you are using, automatically it returns the id. That id I have to use. That's why I am using this id. Then if id equal to 1, then exit of 1. Means if id equal to 1, then exit of 1. If id equal to 2, then what I am doing, increase the square size. I have else if id equal to 2, then size equal to 2 into size. Means I am increasing size of that square. I am writing a code. I have to write a code for this, right? Size equal to 2 into size. Else if id equal to 3, right? ID equal to 3, then decrease square size, else size equal to size by 2. Then glut post redisplay, post redisplay, then you register callback function. This is a callback function, you register it through callback function. This is what simple one, how to create a pop-up menus, right? Then hierarchical menus. Hierarchy means I have seen this is what hierarchy. This is, for example, if I go here, these are the options, but if I go somewhere here, again sub menus, you can create sub menus also. Here such option I am not able to find. File, this is sub menu is new, then one more is open, then one more is save. If I go to save, you see again I have attached again sub menus. Again if I go to print like this, means hierarchy, these are called hierarchical menus, that we are going to do here, hierarchical menus, right? Here hierarchical menus. Hierarchical menu. Suppose we want the main menu that we create to have 2 entries. In main menu I have 2 entries. In those 2 entries again I am creating sub menu, like what I have shown in Paint, right? The first one to terminate the program, the second one second to pop up sub menu. In previous means first one I am terminating the program, then second one is again one some small pop up menu. Means in second one again I have one small pop up menu. First one is direct menu, that is terminating a program. Then second menu, in that second option I am creating sub pop-up menu, right? That is what here sub menu equal to glut create menu size, sub menu equal to glut create menu size. Then after creating this, it will return its ID to sub menu, it will return the ID to its sub menu, that is a menu size menu, right? Means I am creating one size menu, that is a sub pop-up menu. Actually size menu is a sub pop-up menu under main menu, right? Like this you can see, first I have created one main menu. In that first option is quit, then next is resize, next is a resize, right? Next is a resize. For this I am creating, this is my sub menu, I am creating this. Now I am creating this menu, means I want like this. I will go to first option. In that first option, first I will get a quit, then next resize. If I keep resize, after resize it has to show this, increase the square size, decrease the square, means these are sub options for this resize. These are sub, means I am creating this. Now I am creating this, right? That is what sub menu equal to glut create menu size, size menu. I am creating this. Once I create, then I will get this ID. Once I will create, I will get this ID. Then glut add menu entry, then I will add the menu entry. What is that menu entry? Increase the square size, option is 2. Decrease the square size, option is 3. Increase the square size means I in this sub menu I am giving 2 options again. I am created 2 choices, that is one is increase size, one is decrease size. Then the ID I assigned is 2 and 3, right? Glut create menu, top menu, then I will create top menu, right? Again as I told you have to go in this order only, means first you create sub menu, then you go to top menu. Now I am creating this menu, glut create menu, that is top menu. This menu I am creating, right? Now this menu I have to attach here. What is that? Already I have created this menu, I have to attach to this top menu, right? Top menu. That's why glut add menu entry, that is a quit one as it is. Again there is no sub menu for this, only one option in this. That is what glut add menu entry quit one, glut add menu entry quit one. Automatic quit will be added, quit option will come, but this I have to add to in resize, right? That is what glut add sub menu. This is a sub menu, this is sub menu now, because this is not again like this, it is not simple as that of quit, because if I click here I will get this sub menu. That's why glut add menu entry, glut add menu entry 1 is over, then glut add sub menu here, means I want to add sub menu to this, where glut add sub menu resize, I have given name as resize. Then what? Submenu ID. Submenu ID already I got here. Submenu ID already I have got, right? That ID you assign to this. That ID you assign to this, right? Submenu ID you assign to this means nothing but quit and resize. If you click resize, automatically it comes here, right side. It will, if you click here, then automatically it comes here, right? Then which button you want to attach to all? Which button you want to attach to all? That glut attach menu, glut right button means all options. If I press the right button of mouse, then whatever, if it is a quit, if you press on quit, it will quit. If you go to resize, then it will come here. If you come to increase the square, already I written code for this, it will increase the square with already multiple up to. Then if I press this one, it will decrease the square size. Already I have written a code, again I will not write code for this. Again same thing, just we have segregated these menus. Then now we have to write the callback function, size menu and top menu. Size menu and top menu, right? If you write the callback function, then automatically it will write. Then next is picking. Next is picking. In last class we have discussed pointing device. Next is picking. Picking is an input operation that allows the user to identify an object on the display. As I told, picking is an input operation that allows the user to identify an object on the display. As in last class I have told that if I go here, if I click this, then it will cover this area. It is covering this area. Then how to decide how much area? Because mail, if you see the mail option, it is covering this much area. If I see the calendar, it is covering less area. If I see the calendar, means how that is be decided? How much monitor area? Means area is nothing but what? It has started X and Y here. It has started X, Y here. It is ending X, Y here. X, Y here. If it is a window, because as I told, window is top left corner is 0, 0. If it is a X and Y minimum here, X and Y maximum is here. Then how many? But again same, if I take this one, both are not, size is not same. Both size is not same, because there is a difference in icon to icon. This is what a picking, right? Here. Then identify the object, identify an object on the display. I have to identify which object I am picking on the display. Picking is done by pointing device. As I told, picking I am doing by using a mouse. This is mouse is a pointing device. Picking is done by a pointing device. The information returned to the application. Once I pick any icon, from my desktop, then what information is written to my program? Program is not a position. The information returned to the application program is not a position. It will not return the application position, means it will not count like this. Position in the sense, if it is 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, it will not return like this, right? Then what it will return? A pick device is more difficult to implement than the locator device. As I told, pick device is not simple as that of locator device. There are two ways to do this. One is selection method. Next one is bounding rectangles, right? First one is selection method. It involves adjusting adjusting the clipping region and viewport such that we can keep track of which primitives in a small clipping region are rendered into a region near the cursor. Creates a hit list, right? Means when you are picking, for example, since simple program I have shown, simple one I have shown. I'll go to again, I hope paint is closed. Okay. You see, one simple I'll do, means meaning of that one. I have drawn something here, right? I have drawn. Then what I'll do, I'll pick this part. Then for example, if I do like this, pick and do, then what will happen here? Only that part, means my window has to see only that part. Viewing clipping window is now changed. Earlier I was seeing this much portion. Now I am able to see only this. Clipping window has to be adjusted here. Right? Clipping window has to be adjusted here. That is what selection involves, adjusting the clipping region and viewport such that we can keep track of which primitives in a small clipping region are rendered into a region near the cursor. Creates a hit list, right? Again same here also, means if I here only this is highlighted, only this region has to be displayed. Earlier, if without this one, at that time it may be displaying this entire part, but if I did this one, only that has to be adjusted, means clipping region has to be adjusted there, right? This is the meaning of this, right? That's it creates a hit list, means it creates a hit list, means how many icons or how many objects I have to display in my viewport, right? Before that you may be displaying entire monitor, but after picking again you have to only show that icon which you have picked, right? Means adjustment is very effective here, right? Then that is what meaning. Then bounding rectangles or extents. This is the smallest rectangle aligned with the coordinate axis that concatenates the object, right? As I told in the paint, that is a bounding rectangle, means you draw a bounding rectangle with that, then in that whatever object comes, only pick display those, right? Only display those, right? Then cut the object. Rendering modes, again here there are different type of drawing, means render means drawing, means converting into pixels, rendering modes, right? OpenGL can render in a one of three modes selected by GL render mode, bracket mode, means OpenGL can display these picked objects in three different modes selected by GL render mode. Then what is that mode? What are those three different modes? First mode is GL render. That is normal rendering to the frame buffer default. Normally it renders to the frame buffer default. Then your OpenGL picks from the frame buffer, then it displays on the monitor whatever is there in a frame buffer. Whatever your render mode will write into the frame buffer. Then OpenGL, whenever it is displaying on monitor, OpenGL takes the input from that frame buffer. Then whatever content is there, as per that content, it displays on the monitor. That is what by default will take place, right? Then next is GL feedback. Next rendering mode is GL feedback. Provides a list of primitives rendered but no output to the frame buffer. Provides a list of primitives rendered but no output to the frame buffer. Means it provides list of primitives rendered. How many primitives you have to render? It will provide the list of primitives to be rendered. Then again, primitives is nothing but again they have one primitive have its own identities, right? Depending on that, it provides how many primitives you have to render. It will not produce the output on the frame buffer, right? Then next is GL selection. Each primitive in the view volume generates a hit record that is placed in the name stack, which can be examined later. Here in GL selection, what it does, each primitive in the view value means how many primitives are selected your cursor, how many primitives it has selected in that rectangle or whatever, how many primitives are selected by using the pick device, that is called view volume. Each primitive in the view volume generates a hit record, means how many primitives you would like to display, hit record, that is placed in a name stack. There is a one more technical word comes, that is a name stack. That is again one more feature is available in OpenGL, that is a name stack, which can be examined later. Then you examine those later, stage by stage, step by step. You go to name stack. Again, name stack is again a stack. It stores all the information like a stack. How you have studied in a stack. Again same, right? First come, last out. In that order. Then start examining those. Means your hit record will be there in name stack. Start from top. Then you see whatever records it has placed by default. It is placed in a name stack. Then you do the operation in name stack. As per name stack information, you do those. You display those objects. This is what selection. Like this, it means this rendering mode works in three different types, right? Three different types. You can render the objects picked by your picking device, right? Selection mode functions. GL select buffer. GL size I means integer n. That GL buffer specifies the name buffer. G means specifies the name buffer. It will specify the name buffer, right? You can create your own name buffer. Then you can in that automatically the hit list will be stored. Then GL init names. Initialize all the names. Initialize name buffer. You can initialize the name buffer, right? GL push name. Then name push the ID and name of ID on the name buffer. Every, as I told, whenever you primitive is there, then it has its own ID. Then push those in a name buffer by using a GL push name, GL pop name. Then uploads whenever you want to process. Then start popping those. Then load GL load name, GL unsentient name, replace top name on a buffer. ID is set by replaces the top name of name on a buffer. ID is set by application program to identify objects. right? These are the selection mode functions are available. By using these selection mode functions, we can write program as per which all hit records are there in that name buffer, by taking one by one to write a program. This is regarding picking, right? Again, in next class we will again continue with this pick. Next class again we will continue with the picks. By today I'll wind this session by this. Okay.